Hey, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I have the very lucky job of interviewing my favorite astrologer once again, Jyoti Wind. Welcome, Jyoti.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. That's so kind.
Well, Jyoti, it's the highlight of my week, and I think we have a number of listeners hearing the recording is also the highlight of their week.
I'm very grateful for that. Yes.
So, Jyoti, I mean, we keep saying we're in interesting, unprecedented times. It's feeling pretty dense around here. What's going on?
Well, it's intense. I mean, Pluto is stationing from the 3rd to the 20th of this month, so it's like living in a Scorpio bubble in a sense. And there's a lot of inner transformation and choices I think that people are being pushed to make, especially about whether to remain here or leave, whether to change tracks and try something else. We're also, I'll come back to Pluto in a minute. We're also in the beginning of a Mars cycle because Mars entered the shadow of its next retrograde. It doesn't go retrograde like Mercury does 3 times a year. This happens a lot more spaciously in a sense. So it entered its shadow on October 5th, and I'll just give you its cycle. It turns retrograde on December 6th, direct on February 20 of 25, February 25th of 25, and catches up on the 2nd of May of 25. And so um, Mars is in Cancer, going into Leo, turning retrograde, going back. I think it stays in Leo the whole time, but it's looking at pride, our pride. It's looking at what is it we want to manifest? What is the life we want to live at this point in time? And what of all the things we've been doing just maybe don't hold water so much anymore? Don't have the fizz and the energy even to keep going. And we've kind of had these little chats ourselves, you and me. And so with Pluto stationing this almost this whole month and turning direct tomorrow at 6:34 p.m. on the October 11th, tomorrow, and that's Mountain Daylight Time. Um, Pluto's really pushing the envelope. I mean, it's been retrograde for 5 months, as it is every year, turning direct at this 29 degrees of Capricorn, the last gasp of the patriarchal culture, power over kind of thing, and it's giving us time to really let go of what isn't working. I mean, between Mars and Pluto both, I mean, at some point they're going to dance together for a couple days. I think it's in early December. We'll talk about that. That's going to be very volatile and interesting. But Pluto is just kind of raking us over the coals.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jyoti, I think I understand Pluto's work of unearthing, right, and digging deep and bringing up. I'm not so clear about Mercury's, or excuse me, Mars's impact and what that theme feels like.
Well, the planet Mars, just in general, is about manifestation. It's the planet of
Okay.
birth. You would think that because the baby comes out of a woman, it would have something to do with Venus, but it doesn't. Mars is about manifesting, manifestation. It's a planet of birth. It's a planet of guns and knives and cars. It's a planet of fire. It's the planet of making things happen. It's the physical plane. It's not the underworld like Pluto. It's this plane, this physical plane. That's Mars. So, what happens here? So, when I see an eclipse hitting somebody's Mars, I would say to that person, um, what's the dream? What is it you want to manifest in this life? In deference to how you've been living all this time. What is it now that's up? What is it that you want your life to look like?
Hmm.
So those are the questions that come with Mars. And with Mars turning retrograde, like Mercury turning retrograde, we take that energy inside and we work on it and we look at it and we look at what it represents. And in this case, it represents our physical, day-to-day life.
Hmm. Maybe it's an opportune time to talk about what that really feels like, because we have these two different energies, right? And so we've got this energy that's unearthing and kind of exposing things, while this energy is also calling us to manifest. And in some ways it feels a little debilitating, like they're almost working against each other.
Well, it depends on how you can align them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like something moving underneath and something moving
Sure.
above. And so how do you position the energies in a sense, or ask for a vision, or try to see what works, what doesn't work in those deeper inner levels, and then how can that manifest on the physical plane
So I
so
think what
that
I'm
it
hearing
has
you,
a door.
yeah, it's like find that where they overlap
Yes.
to provide an energy forward. Wow, that feels a little tricky these days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even though Pluto's at its intensest, I don't even know if that's a word, but it's at its
Today it is.
intensest today. It is right now. Um, I'm glad of it, because then we're moving forward. We're not still dealing with this
Yeah.
underbelly of things we can't quite put our finger on. And so it goes direct, and it's like, okay, I can work with this. I can see it. I can work with it. I know what this is about, and I can participate. I can co-create with Pluto, so I don't feel like I'm at the mercy of it.
So, Jyoti, I know we only have X number of weeks. What about 6 more weeks of Pluto in Capricorn, right? Something like
Yeah,
that,
yes,
6 8 weeks.
something like that. Yes.
And then we it moves into Aquarius. And so we have this top-down version of Pluto versus a for the people of freedom by and I'm just wondering how that comes about, right? Like, so all this has come up, and then, I mean, how are you seeing that? Because that couldn't be a more
How
dramatic
I'm
shift.
Well, how I'm seeing it is the people in Northwest Carolina, or West North Carolina, I guess it's called, helping each other,
Mm.
bailing each other out, going up into the mountains on foot with packs on their back with food and supplies for babies and adults and people who haven't even 2 weeks after the whole Hurricane Helene, who haven't even been reached yet.
Yeah.
And so it's people helping people. It's like you look around and organizations run out of money and people don't show up when they're supposed to, but your neighbors do. And we have to help each other. We have to be there for each other in ways that we can't sit around and wait for somebody from an organization or an agency or something to show up. I mean, sometimes it's a personal thing. Sometimes it's a neighbor, who needs help. I mean, this is Pluto moving into Aquarius, and it's already happening. And
Okay.
even though I will not address the election, and I was glad to hear Pam Gregory say the same thing, but I have the same sense and feeling as she expressed in her latest YouTube video. Um, exactly as I feel about it is my concern is the civil unrest after the election, on either side, on both sides, on whatever. And that is Pluto in Aquarius. Because if we think about when it happened last, it was the French Revolution, when the people went into the castles and stuff and dragged the elites out and said enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the possibility of Pluto going into Aquarius.
And all this time of Pluto in Capricorn is giving us hints of what might be taken down as it moves into Aquarius.
And what's failing?
Yeah.
What's just not able to prop itself up anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
And looking at something that we may have given a lot of faith to or counted on, and realize that it's just not there anymore. It's just not the same, because we're moving into a different time frame with Pluto moving into Aquarius anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I see that. So, Jyoti, I mean, we talked a little bit. I know you have another aspect, but I think this speaks to this of, how we're experiencing this. I mean, folks are experiencing this as just a lot right now.
It is a lot. It is a very lot. It really is. I mean, I would just say, as the Buddhists say, keep your seat, you know, as much as possible, keep your seat. Find what works for you to take a break, to download, to, whatever it is for you, so that you can get up the next day and do what the day is asking of you.
That's beautiful advice, Jyoti. I think everyone has their thing, right, that
Yeah.
nourishes them and
Yeah.
tapping
I
into
mean,
that.
sometimes it's just, talking to a friend. Sometimes it's just having some grounding food. Sometimes it's just sleeping. Even if it's in the middle of the day, who cares? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just kind of recharging. Sleep is a recharger. I mean, we separate from our body just enough to allow that battery recharge of the body. And sometimes, that's all it takes, or just sitting and staring off into space. It can be really healing and relaxing, but taking care of yourself is so vital.
Yeah. So, Jyoti, you touched on Mars going through its cycle, and so that's quite a long cycle
It
that
is. It
that
is.
ends in February, I believe you said.
Actually, I think it's May. By the
May.
time it
Okay.
catches up, it's May.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
Pluto, um, you used a word to describe it. Pluto turning direct is like a Scorpio bubble. Can you say a few words about that?
Well, Pluto rules Scorpio, and we know that Scorpio rules the eighth house in a chart, which is death and rebirth and transformation. And so that's kind of like the overarching energy, while Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, is doing its thing, so to speak, and hovering at this 29 degrees Capricorn energy. It started on the 3rd of September till the 19th of November. But right now, the 3rd to the 20th of October, it's the same degree and minute as it makes this turn, so to speak, and turns direct at that degree and minute, and continues at that degree and minute till the 20th, the 3rd till the 20th of October. And so we are in the throes of the epitome of Plutonian energy, which is transformation and change, death and rebirth, letting things go that no longer serve us. And the door is open. Some people will be leaving, you know, and that's their choice and their necessity. The soul has called and the personality responds. And So it's a very intense time. Things that might have been, a little troublesome, a little frustrating, a little bothersome, all of a sudden hold so much more weight. And it's like, oh my God, I've got to, deal with this or figure this out or let it go or embrace it and jump in with both feet. It's like Pluto isn't about half measures. It's the all or nothing of Pluto and Scorpio. It's all or nothing. It wants depth. It doesn't want lightweight fluff. It wants to dive in with both feet and see what it has.
Mm. Mm.
So it's going to be intense, and the energy is going to be intense for the next 9 or 10 days.
Sure. And we may feel that on a collective level. We may feel that in our jobs, in our families.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there's no place you might not feel it. Plus, the solar flares have really
Right.
expanded and intensified. And so that's happening at the same time. And then the hurricanes and the floods and the weather patterns and all of that.
Yeah.
So when I went to bed the other night, I was thinking about all the things I'm aware of that are happening on the planet in my life and in friends' lives and family. And I thought, boy, this is a lot. This is a lot to think about. This is a lot to deal with. And then I thought, yeah, yeah, I feel like I chose to come here to be here at this time, and maybe this isn't even ramped up yet.
There's a lot of folks that probably don't want to hear that, Jyoti.
Oh, I know, and I could be totally wrong, and that's fine if I'm wrong, no problem. But I don't know. I just look at it all and I think, okay, what can I do for myself to keep myself intact,
Yeah.
to keep my seat, you know?
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the sun squaring Pluto.
Oh, before that, I want to talk about the full moon, which was really
Oh, right.
supposed to be the focus of this whole chat. Okay. So we have a full moon coming on October 17th. It is at 5:26 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and it has a grand cross in it with the planets, Sun and Moon opposing, and Mars and Pluto opposing. Not the Mars and Pluto are, it's still 7 degrees away or 6.5. It's not exact yet, but it's part of the full moon pattern of the Sun opposing Moon at a full moon, and then all squaring Mars and Pluto. And so this is, I said yeah, it is a cardinal grand cross. And so it's about doing, it's about enterprising, it's about looking at um, what serves, what works. It's about looking at how you change and transform. I mean, there's not many words to describe what's going on right now because it's all Mars and Pluto, and you can only say so much. There's only so much language for that particular dance. And the fact that it's part of the full moon, it may feel more emphasized. Pluto will be direct by then, and it's a bid for transformation of self and what we manifest as a life. That was my notes when I looked at that full moon. So, some of the saving graces of this a full moon day is that the moon is conjuncting Chiron, and so there's a lot of potential emotional healing here. And the fact that the sun is the exact degree as Juno, the asteroid of relationship. And so it's looking at, what fulfills us emotionally in our relationships.
Mhm.
Because with all this going on, and it can relate to anything we've just talked about, where what's our community? What's our community? How do we reach out and ask for what we need when we need help? Do we just sit and wait for it to find us, and sometimes it doesn't know we need help? What do we do? I mean, Jupiter's still in Gemini, trining this sun of the full moon, trining Juno, the asteroid of relationship. It is about communication. It is about opening up and asking for what we need, because a lot of us were raised by people who went through the Depression, and nobody had anything, so you couldn't ask for help. Nobody had help. Nobody had finances. Nobody had anything. And so it was a generation that learned never to ask for help or for what they needed. And so that's an old pattern that needs to be broken, and discarded. And this Jupiter in Gemini may help us expand what it is around using our language to get what we need.
Oh, interesting.
And Jupiter trine Sun and Juno is very great for expanding relationships and expanding our sense of community and expanding our identity. Sun and Juno, the same degree, expanding our identity around who we are as relational human beings, not just isolation or isolating ourselves.
Well, and I think one thing that has come out of our discussions and what we've heard from our listeners is expanding your community, even if it means understanding that everyone else is going through these same challenges right now, is comforting.
Yes. Yes. I mean, sorry, Lauren, but I have an odd sense of humor, and what came to mind was misery loves company. So I apologize
Right.
for that.
Yeah,
But
but
there's
knowing
an
you're not
understanding.
alone. Yeah.
There's an understanding that comes because you realize other people feel the same way and are struggling with the same situation,
Yeah.
or trying to find a way through. Yes.
And once we realize, hey, you're also going through this, I'm going through this, then we start building bridges
Yes.
between each other despite our differences.
Despite the differences, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And the earth herself is going through her own evolutionary throes, and so we're just part of this big picture, even though in our own personal lives it's sometimes traumatic or sometimes difficult. We're also part of this larger evolutionary movement that the planet is experiencing, and so are we.
Yeah. Yeah.
The macrocosm and the microcosm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this instance, we're the microcosm,
Yeah.
and the Earth is the macrocosm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that on October 22nd, the Sun is squaring Pluto. And since we're in Pluto's under Pluto's auspices these days, that could be a difficult day. It could be a day of power plays and challenges, and feeling like it's not your day to get what you want. Somebody else is choosing at the same moment, and it's their turn.
Yeah.
It could feel like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, another day to just kind of nurture yourself and take it easy.
And lay low.
Lay low. I like that. I like that. Anything else, Jyoti?
No, I think that's quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, it feels like it. Feels like it. Well, good. Then for our listeners, until next time, sounds like you've got some great advice here from Jyoti, and we'll all see it through to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.